once echoed with conversation of friends and lovers. No longer. Mark my words, comrade, that one day things will change. We will take the fight to their land, to their people, to their blood. Welcome back to Miss Your Time. The Red Army of the Soviet Union, under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, played a legendary and pivotal role in the defeat of Nazi Germany during World War II. The story of their victory is one of determination, sacrifice, and strategic brilliance. When Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union in June 1941, the Red Army faced a massive and brutal assault. Despite being initially caught off guard and suffering heavy losses, the Soviet forces regrouped and launched determined defense. Stalin's leadership was instrumental to rallying the nation and the Red Army to resist the German invasion. He implemented a strategy of scorched earth, ordering the destruction of substructure and resources to deny them to the advancing German forces. This strategy slowed down the German advance and bought a crucial time for the Soviets to organize their defenses.
Отныне наша задача будет состоять в том, чтобы истребить всех немцев до единого. Если немцы хотят истребительную войну, они ее получат.
The Battle of Moscow in the winter of 1941 to 1942 was a turning point. The Red Army, bolstered by reinforcements from Siberia, launched a successful counteroffensive that halted the German advance toward the Soviet capital. This marked the first major defeat for the Germans on the Eastern Front and boosted Soviet morale. Stalin's leadership was often ruthless, and he imposed strict discipline on the Red Army, including harsh punishments for desertion or retreat. This iron-fisted approach, combined with effective military leadership, helped to instill a sense of determination and resilience in the Red Army. The Battle of Stalingrad in 1942 to 1943 became a symbol of Soviet resistance. Despite being heavily outnumbered and facing dire conditions, the Red Army fiercely defended Stalingrad. The city's namesake, Stalin, had declared it a place of no retreat, and the Soviet troops held on tenaciously. The brutal urban combat and the encirclement of German forces in Stalingrad led to a decisive victory for the Red Army. The surrender of the German Sixth Army at Stalingrad was a major turning point in the war and marked the beginning of a series of Soviet offensives that would ultimately push the Germans back. Under Stalin's direction, the Red Army launched a massive offensive that gradually pushed the German forces out of Soviet territory. The Battle of Purge in 1943 saw the Red Army repel a major German offensive, marking another significant victory. Following the success at Stalingrad, the Red Army launched a massive offensive and began pushing the German forces back toward Germany. This, known as Operation Bagration, was one of the largest military operations in history and resulted in liberation of Belarus from Germany. As they advanced further into Eastern Europe, Soviet troops faced fierce resistance from German forces. Finally, in January 1945, Soviet forces launched another major offensive known as the Vistula-Oder Offensive. Operation saw them cross into Germany proper for the first time since the start of war. The Red Army pushed through heavily fortified German defenses along rivers like Oder and Neisse until they reached Berlin. The Battle of Berlin was a moment in history as it the end of World War II in Europe. In April 1945, after intense urban combat against desperate resistance from Nazi forces defending Berlin, Adolf Hitler ultimately committed suicide in his bunker. On May 2, 1945, Red Army troops raided Soviet over Rastatt, signifying final victory over Nazi Germany on Eastern Front. The Red Army's legendary efforts under Stalin's leadership had played a crucial role in securing victory for the Allied powers and bringing an end to one of history's most devastating conflicts. Their bravery, sacrifice, and strategic prowess played a crucial role in securing victory for Allied powers against Nazi Germany. Frontline soldiers are advancing day and night under fire, with pure and saintly hearts. The rear echelon men who follow along behind are rapping, drinking, and looting. Anthony Beaver, The Fall of Berlin 1945. The Germans unconditionally surrounded its military forces on May 8, 1945. The Japanese also surrounded 5 months later, officially ending World War II. Until next episode of Museo Time, be safe, be kind, and thanks for watching us.